I am a Resident Evil 4 professional, and now I am going to be playing the Resident Evil 4 Remake. If you're wondering how I have this main menu screen, and it's because I've already beaten this game 3 times, and one of those times was actually on professional difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game. So needless to say, I'm already kind of a professional at the Resident Evil 4 Remake. I'm already in the middle of trying to speedrun it. You know, I'd show this cutscene, but I have a feeling it would get me the giant yellow symbol, so we're not even gonna mess with this one. See, the funny thing is, you guys thought that we were playing as Leon, but in reality, we are gonna be playing as Grave. I bet only 5% of you even get that reference. Now, I'm not gonna lie and say that I'm like a genuine professional at Resident Evil 4 Remake yet. I don't have all the speedrun strats down, but you know, I have a couple strategies in the bag. I've already been able to get up to the point to where you save Ashley in under 1 hour. I've seen some people that have done full speedruns of this game already in 2.5 hours, which is just insane to me. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get to that level, but I'm shooting for at least like sub 4 hours. Now, I don't call myself a professional at the original Resident Evil 4 lightly. The only reason I say that is because it's my favorite game of all time. I've beaten it at least 100 times, and that may sound like an exaggeration, but I promise you it is not. It is just because I used to speedrun the game a lot. I've beaten it in roughly 2 hours without the Ditman glitch, and I've been able to beat the game in sub 2 hours with the Ditman glitch. Bam! Yeah, fuck your neck! Leon straight up turned this guy's neck into one of them plastic twisty straws. But outside of speedruns, I've also just beaten the original game many times normally. On top of that, I also have Separate Ways mastered. Furthermore, I have every single puzzle solution from that game just engraved into my soul, even the slide puzzle. But again, also keep in mind that I've been playing that game since I was 7 years old, and I've played it at least once a year since then. Usually it's more though. It's usually like 2 to 3 times a year if I'm being honest. I love that game so much. I can't help it. I go in, I play it once on normal difficulty, and then I'm like, oh man, I'm itching for more, so then I go through, play it on professional. Then usually even after the professional run, I'm like, oh man, I want to play Separate Ways, so then I go through and do that. So that in itself is already 2 full playthroughs of the game, plus Separate Ways, and then I'll re-unlock like the Chicago typewriter and the PRL 412 and the Infinite Rocket Launcher, and I'm like, oh man, now I want to do another full run just going as fast as I can using those weapons, and it goes down this huge rabbit hole. And that is exactly what has happened with the Resident Evil 4 Remake. I did one playthrough, and normally with my games, I play a game one time, and then that's usually it. I don't touch it again. However, the Resident Evil games are different for me. It doesn't matter what Resident Evil game it is. Like, I think of any other game, like Horizon Forbidden West, God of War, Uncharted, Army of Two, like basically any other game that I can think of that I've played in recent times. I usually just play the game like one time, and it's not because those games are bad by any means. It's just I don't really see a reason to replay it. I mean, if you play a lot of single player games, then you probably also understand, like, once you play The Last of Us, it's not like other games like the Souls games or Resident Evil games where you're itching to get straight back into it to re-experience the story. Like, obviously the story is amazing and you'll want to re-experience it at some point down the line. It's just from a gameplay standpoint, there's not really any reason to dive back into the game, and if anything, it might hinder your experience a bit by diving straight back into it, because then you might get kind of burnt out on playing the same thing again and again. But with the Resident Evil games, there's so much replayability and trying to beat your times, unlock the special weapons, and it's not even a thing where like I force myself in these games to go through and play it over and over again. It's just simply because once I beat it once, I feel so empty knowing that my experience is finished and I can't experience it again for the first time. And I get that thing known as post-game depression that many like hardcore single player gamers definitely know about, and it happens to me so severely with the Resident Evil games just because this is my favorite franchise of all time. So every time I beat one, I'm like, man, when is there gonna be another Resident Evil game? I'm craving more. I dive back in, I go for all the hardest difficulties, I get all the weapons, I do all the stuff that I can. And again, it's never because I force myself to, it's because I genuinely want to, and I can't put the game down until I have everything completed. This doesn't happen to me with any other game. I never try to 100% any other kinds of games. It's literally just the Resident Evil games. Again, there's a bit of a bias because I've been playing these games since longer than I can remember before I could even fully speak properly. This just is my favorite franchise of all time, and I am biased. That being said, this remake has honestly done nothing but surpass my expectations of what I thought was going to be possible with this remake. Like, I am so satisfied. This is one of the full times where I have paid full price at launch to play a game. In recent times, I've only played the latest games like once they go on sale or once they go into a subscription service, like God of War Ragnarok. Even though I love God of War 2018, I haven't played it yet just because I'm waiting for it to go on sale and I don't want to drop a full 70 on it. But when it came to Resident Evil 4, I didn't even just pre-order it. I pre-ordered the deluxe edition, which was like even more money, which is also how I'm rocking this Grave looking skin right now. It's just because I love this series so much, and when it comes to Capcom, you know they're gonna put out a good game. You know they're not gonna screw you over with a buggy mess. Like, all of their games always come out in phenomenal condition. Oh god, Chainsaw Boy, get away from me. Grenade, grenade, eat a grenade, eat a grenade. Just, okay, yeah, once that blows up, then we're safe. Just run past real quick before anybody gets up. Hello. I'm sorry for gushing so much. I can't help it. Resident Evil series just means more to me than, like, literally anything else I can think of. It means means more to me than food and water, okay? If I could choose between having enough food and water to live out the rest of my life or playing Resident Evil, I would choose Resident Evil. It's just a mixture of the games being there for me at times when I've needed it most, the games themselves just being absolutely phenomenal, and, you know, maybe just a touch of nostalgia since I've been playing them for so long. Right now, I'm in the middle of another professional difficulty run. I'm trying to get, I think you need at least an A rank to get the Chicago Sweeper. The Chicago Sweeper is basically the same thing as the Chicago Typewriter from the original Resident Evil 4. However, in this one, it's a bit different because in the original Resident Evil 4, the Chicago Typewriter had like infinite ammo, the damage was absolutely nuts on it. In this one, you actually have to like upgrade it first, and then once you unlock all the upgrades for the weapon, then you can unlock the infinite ammo perk. So I'm gonna be doing my best to get an A rank on the professional difficulty in this game so then I can unlock that. The only thing that I wish that this game had that it doesn't have right now is Separate Ways and Mercenaries, but Mercenaries is gonna be coming out in like not even 2 weeks from the time of me recording this, so that won't even be an issue soon enough, and it's gonna be free DLC. But I really want Separate Ways to be in this game. I mean, the fact that it wasn't here at launch isn't a big deal because the original Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube also didn't release with Separate Ways technically. That didn't come out until the PS2 release, so it's not a big deal, but I'm hoping they at least release it as DLC at this point. It doesn't even have to be free DLC, like, I'll pay for it. It would be nice if it's free. I'm just really hoping it comes out at some point.
Where's everyone going? Bingo?
Yes! When I pre-ordered the game, it also said that it gave me these filters. I haven't messed with any of them though, so let me try turning them on to see what they look like. So this is the game normally without any filters. Now we're gonna try the hero filter. Hey, look at this! This is actually kind of cool. This almost looks like, I don't know, like an old film, like a VHS, not even a VHS, not even VHS had this. I don't know what you call this necessarily, but like one of those old films from like the 30s or the 40s. One of them like Charlie Chaplin films where there's like the black dots all over the screen. This actually kind of looks cool. For those wondering, I have actually rocking the goth costume with the Wellington glasses. Trust me, I've already seen it in the game. It is so cute. Now we've got the villain filter. Oh my God, I look even more like Grave now. This honestly reminds me of like the original game covers for Resident Evil 4 with the red backgrounds. I don't know if I'd necessarily do a full playthrough with it on, but I mean, it actually looks really cool. I already have a bunch of other skins for Leon. I literally have like 6 or 7 of them. I've got the ones that you get for pre-ordering the game, and then I also have like the pinstripe one. I also have the armor for Ashley, which has helped a ton for my professional run. If you plan on doing a professional run, I would highly advise that you wait until you get the Ashley armor. It'll make your life a million times easier. I'm telling you, man, I've beaten this game like 3 times already, and this tripwire right here, it almost gets me every single time. Right now, I'm going a bit slower than I'd like. Right now, we're 12 minutes in. I should be nearing the end of this chapter already, if I'm being honest, if I was to properly speedrun it. Again, there's just something about the replayability in the Resident Evil games. Like, the developers knew what they were doing when they put a timer on the results screen at the end of the games. It's crazy how that one little timer on the results screen just evolved into this community all about, like, speedrunning the game, and it's been this way since day one for the Resident Evil games. Ever since that first Resident Evil game, when you see that timer pop up, you're like, hey, I could probably do that better. And then when you beat it for the second time and you look at the timer again, you're like, hey, I'm even more knowledgeable now. I bet I could do that even better now. And then it's just this never-ending cycle until you're like me and you've played RE4 like 100 times. I'm still proud of myself for the one run I did where I did it glitchless, like no dipping glitch or anything like that, and I still beat the game in like 2 hours. It might have actually been like a minute or 2 short of that. While I'm of the belief that the original Resident Evil 4 really didn't necessarily need a remake, I'm glad that it got a remake, and this is something that I've been heavily anticipating and wanting, because while no game ever necessarily actually needs a remake, like I don't think there's such thing as a game that ever really needs one. I mean, if a game is good on its own, then there's no reason for the game to be remade. However, I do think that there are games that could either benefit from having a game remade, or games that maybe deserve to be remade, so then they could either be retold or just brought up to modern hardware and a modern audience, so then people will actually give the game a shot, because nowadays there's so many gamers where they're like, oh, that game's old, graphics bad, I won't play it because it's too old. Now that the game's been remade, they have no excuse. If you haven't played RE4 before, well, play the remake. If you choose not to play the original one, I mean, honestly, you're just missing out, and that's on you. You're just robbing yourself of an amazing experience. But at the very least, please do give RE4 Remake a chance. Like, this game is absolutely phenomenal, and they nailed this remake. I still hate bear traps. Bear traps still suck. I truly do believe that if you're going to play Resident Evil 4 Remake, you should probably play the original Resident Evil 4 first, just so you can appreciate some of the changes and things that have been done to enhance the experience in Resident Evil 4 Remake. But at the very least, please do at least pick up the remake and play it at some point. I've said this many times before, but the original Resident Evil 4 is my favorite game of all time, and now I can truthfully say that Resident Evil 4 Remake is tied with the original as being my favorite game of all time. No exaggeration. They absolutely nailed this remake, and if there is any like Capcom developers or any developers watching this by any chance that made this game, thank you. That's literally all I have to say to you, is just Thank you. If 7-year-old me could see this remake, I mean, I don't know, I don't even know. 7-year-old me's mind would have probably just exploded right there and then. But they 100% nailed this remake. Like, I am literally in love. I can't even stop playing. Even though this remake exists, I'll definitely be going back and playing the original from time to time. Just because even though this is technically a remake, there is still differences between the two, and there's reasons to play both. And that's the best part about this remake. In fact, that's the best part of any remake. Even though this remake has done so many things to enhance that original experience, and even though in my opinion, it's honestly a perfect game. And when I say a perfect game, I mean subjectively perfect. I talked about this a couple videos ago, but I don't really think there's a way to define objective perfection in a video game. When it comes to like if a game is perfect, that really just comes down to your subjective opinion, which means that, you know, you're not wrong for having that opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion, just like I'm entitled to my own. And my opinion is that RE4, the original, and the remake are perfect games. And now not only is Resident Evil 4 the original my favorite game of all time, but so is the Resident Evil 4 remake. And now instead of just having one version of the games to replay every year, now I have two. So now I have multiple ways to experience this phenomenal game. I also do still have my iPod Touch 4th generation sitting in my drawer. It has RE4 Mobile on it. I am that dedicated to this game. If you don't know what RE4 Mobile is, just do yourself a favor and go look up a Let's Play of it. Absolutely phenomenal. Anyways, have you guys played RE4 Remake? What are your thoughts on it? I'm sorry if it ever got annoying throughout this video just hearing me gush about this game, but I can't help it. I just love this game so much. It means so much to me. But anyway, as always, a shout out to the Patrons and channel members: Karma's Fake, Grandma, Lubity Tab, Big Daddy, Maddie, Chalupasaurus Rex, Razak, Polo, Ray, to Webster, Lamas, Bianca, Purgatory, Drip, Croissant, Mellow, Last King, Computer, Imagine, Mason, Irving, Teacher, Y15, Flip, 71, Aaron Reynolds, and Unknown. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. And remember, don't go hollow. Peace.